Countdown to Kickoff is supported by and brought to you by Saltire Energy, the global market leader in specialist drilling equipment rental. And I'm delighted to announce that my new sponsor, Craig International, is a finalist in 2 categories of the Northern Star Business Awards. As well as being selected for the Family Business of the Year category, they were also chosen for the Business of the Year category. So very well done to everybody involved. Tomorrow at noon, this is where we are. We are at Pittodrie. Sadly, that's not working. Never mind. So, kickoff is at noon. It's been exactly a month since the Dons last played at Pittodrie. Aberdeen welcome the Rangers, looking for back-to-back league victories for the first time since 1993. It's a near enough sellout. So after today's results, this is what it means in terms of the table. So we stay in 9th position. So we can climb above Motherwell tomorrow. Thank goodness we've got a number of games in hand, because from Motherwell, well, from Dundee really upwards, they're starting to just make a little bit of ground on us. So it just adds that little bit more incentive to what we need to do tomorrow at Pittodrie against Rangers. Hi everybody, how you doing? A very good evening. Welcome to ABTV on YouTube this Saturday night. So this is Countdown to Kickoff preview show where we look ahead to tomorrow's game at Pittodrie. So coming up on tonight's show, got the usual bits and pieces for you, got some match stats for you, picked out a couple of quotes from Barry Robson, got the weather for you. And also, I'll be speaking to one part of ABZ podcast guys, Gary. So Gary and I spent a good 10 minutes chatting about tomorrow's game, how we all see it going. And I'm not sure if you caught up with the recent podcast where they spoke to Joe Lewis. They did a fascinating and very open interview with former Aberdeen goalkeeper Joe Lewis. We had a little chat about that as well. But I thought we would start by I wanted to show you this photograph from last night, because obviously the Dons legends had their very special evening. Thanks to Stuart Cleary for sending me that photograph. And I understand it was an absolutely magnificent evening, that you all had great fun. And there were some fantastic stories told, and it was a brilliant event. So congratulations to everybody who put the event on. And I know that the lads, no doubt, had an absolutely fantastic night reminiscing about that magnificent achievement 40 years ago, to become 2-star winners of European Cups. That's why we have 2 stars on our shirt. The only Scottish club to have 2 stars above our badge. So tonight, what I'm looking for you to do is to get in touch as normal. Tell me how you are feeling about tomorrow's game. You know, thank goodness we've had the international break to get the Celtic game out of our system. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to just very quickly grab what I think will be the starting lineup tomorrow. So just let me grab that for you, and I'll just drag it into my timeline, because I'm not sure what he's going to do tomorrow. I've got to be honest. Whether he's going to play with... right, where is it? Hang on, just trying to find it for you. What have I done with it? What have I done with it? Come on now. Where are you? Just chat amongst yourselves, eh? It's in here somewhere. Hey, what's that? There we go. Right, let's drag that in. Let's show you what we got. So this is what I think will be the team tomorrow. Now, feel free to agree or disagree. I think at the back, it will take care of itself. But this is what I've done in the midfield. So I think Leighton will start, and I think Connor will start as well. Now, I was torn between Connor starting and Dante starting. But I've gone for Connor because I think we need that creativity in midfield. And I'm wondering if Jamie McGrath will sort of float in the hole. maybe start on the left hand side, but then sort of come inside and float in the hole behind Bojan Majowski, with obviously Shinza playing out there as well. So I think it will be three at the back, which will revert to five when obviously they have the ball. But I think that's roughly what we will do tomorrow night. So if you agree or disagree, then yeah, just let me know. So before I get your comments on the show tonight, let's get Gary on from ABZ Podcast, where him and I had a really, really good chat this morning, actually, about tomorrow's game. So here from ABZ Podcast is Gary. Hi, Gary. It's great to see you. Thanks, as always, for jumping on. Right. So where are you guys in your heads after the Celtic game and now only 24 hours away from the Rangers game?
Ooh, good question. Have we calmed down a bit now after the Celtic game? Not sure. Still really angry about that, or certainly for me, I'm not going to talk for the other two. Still pretty angry about the way we capitulated in that final 10, 15 minutes. And especially because it leads to those questions again about, Aberdeen and how we play against Celtic compared to how we perform against Rangers and all that kind of good stuff. So still annoyed about it. I guess maybe the international break came at a good time from that perspective. It just let everyone maybe just try and calm down a bit. And I guess, hey, what bigger and what better way to try and get over that than hopefully by getting a victory at Pittodrie on Sunday afternoon.
Do you buy into this notion that we raise our game against Rangers and only raise our game against Rangers?
So I got asked the same question by the guys at Sky. So I did a bit of the preview work for the game on Sunday for them. So you see this as well. Anyone that's watching it on Sunday on Sky. And they posed the same question. I think it's an interesting one because I think the statistics will probably show that we do, but I'm not entirely sure how accurate that really is. I mean, obviously our record in Glasgow, either at Celtic Park or at Ibrox over the last 30 years, is generally terrible. We've been able to eke out a few wins at Ibrox and at Celtic Park in the last 10 or 15 years, here or there. At home, obviously, I think we all know how bad our record against Celtic has been in the recent past. Our record against Rangers at home is not that much better either, realistically. We obviously won the last one, but before that, you were back to 2016 with James Maddison? So do I think the team raises their games? I don't think they do. I think what might happen is that the team possibly get an added bit of adrenaline and an added bit of boy, because there's definitely personally speaking, I think there's a bigger edge in the stands for those games, and there's a better atmosphere, for want of a better way of putting it. And does that maybe push them on a little bit? Maybe. I don't know. I think it's hard to tell, to be honest.
What my biggest concern, I've said it publicly on here, I've written about it as well, this Jekyll and Hyde situation that we find ourselves in. And it has to stop because it's just not healthy. It's not healthy for the players, it's not healthy for us, the fans, and it's not healthy for the club. And if we're not careful, we are going to get dragged in. And I think, I have absolutely no concern that we're going to get, we're going to end up in a relegation battle. I'm not there yet. But I am worried that one week we can play well, the next week we can be absolutely awful. And it's not, we didn't play very well today. We were awful today. That's what I'm worried about. How do we stop it?
I don't know, to be honest. I think clearly we are suffering a little bit with the whole European, the Thursday, Sunday piece. I don't think there could be any real question about that. That said, the manager maybe needs to take a look at himself about some of that as well, I think, because he's been very reluctant to change up the team. I think there's kind of a core group of 12 to 14 guys who I think he seems comfortable with. But that's all we're changing it maybe one or two bodies a game, and it's generally the same one or two bodies. It's in the midfield.
Yeah.
The back five, back six, if you want to include Kel Roos, have been pretty much now ever present since the Hearts game, I think it would be.
Yeah.
You're flogging Miowski really at the moment, playing as a sole striker a lot of the time. So I think whilst we're clearly struggling with that a little bit, I think the manager needs to take a look at the way he's managed the squad. He's been well backed in the summer. We've all spoken about it enough. for us still, I don't think any of us are really any the wiser about whether Esther Sokler is good enough to step into Miovski's shoes. We've seen flashes of it, but not enough. None of us know anything about Pappy Habib Gay, it's fair to say, so
Mm,
far. Those are two guys who's had big money spent on them. You've still got, you've got Reece Williams, you've got Angus McDonald still kicking about. There's depth in the squad, and we don't seem to be using it. So I think that's the biggest reason, probably so far, why we seem to be so Jekyll and Hyde. But you're right; it needs to be sorted out and it needs to be addressed soon. But I'm not sure I see an end to that until the end of December, because the number of games we've got to play now in the
yeah,
month of December is just ridiculous.
yeah. Well, this is the time now to start seriously rotating this squad. Particularly, I know we're sort of jumping ahead ourselves a touch, but particularly the last two conference games, because they are dead rubbers. I know obviously we want to sort of go out on a high, but they are dead rubbers with very important games coming straight off the back of them.
Yep.
So I'm really hoping that he rotates the squad significantly in those games. Do you agree?
Um, I have a vested interest in us not doing it so much next week because I'm going to Helsinki, and the last
Okay.
thing I want to
Okay.
do is
Yeah.
have a situation where it's like our reserve team playing there.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
get
think
that.
Helsinki's maybe a little bit different purely because I think I would hate for us to come out of this group without having won a game, because
Sure.
we've deserved to win at least one of the games so far this season, probably the two home games against POK and against Helsinki.
Yeah, I agree.
And I actually do think as well, it would, if we can get ourselves back into Europe again next season, I think it would stand us in good stead to have got a win on the group stage level this campaign. So, and I think our best opportunity to do it will be against
Helsinki.
HJK.
Yeah.
Although the game against Frankfurt is going to be a dead rubber for both teams, so who knows what
Mm.
happens there. But because we have the cup final a couple of days after that, I'm fine with him. If he wants to call me up for that, I'm okay with that. But I agree with you. It's difficult because they are. You're right. They're, to all intents and purposes, they're dead rubbers. So should we
Mm.
not be focusing on the league campaign now?
Mm. Okay. How do you see the team lining up on Sunday? I've got a feeling he'll stick with the three, but with Nicky and Jack playing as wing backs and then reverting to a five when they're on the counter. I've got a feeling he'll start with Connor, Leighton, Shinza. I think Jamie McGrath will play. I've got a feeling in the hole behind Bojan. That's what I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, he's clearly favoured the 5-4-1 or 3-5-3-6-1, however which
Yeah,
way you want to kind of look at it,
yeah,
against the teams where you anticipate we're going to be more out of possession than in possession.
yeah,
I expect it'll be the same. I expect it'll be Bojan up top by himself. And I, what's funny, we talked about in the last episode, I don't mind the formation so much if we see it employed in the same way we saw it for Park, so that when
yeah.
you're in possession, you get supporting runners up alongside Bojan, so he's not so isolated. And we saw
Mm.
that really well at Fir Park. And in Fir Park in possession, we kind of went Christmas tree. It was kind of 3-4-2-1. I think he'll put Polvara back in.
Okay.
I think on Sunday, I think Polvara's showing so far this season he's a big time player, and
Yeah.
he's been key. If you think of just what you talked about a minute ago, go back to all the performances this season where we think we've played quite well, and Polvara's played in all of them or started all of them. I
Yeah.
think it's probably fair to say. So I think he's in. I think it'll be Barron, Shinnie, and McGrath. I think it's
Leighton on
what
the
I'd
bench.
anticipate in the four, later on the bench again.
Okay.
And I expect it to be the same back five. He doesn't seem like he wants to think about changing that. So unless there's an injury that we don't know about, I think it'll be the same back five.
Okay. All right. Just to finish off, so obviously you guys spoke to Joe Lewis on the podcast.
Yeah.
It was a great chat, as I fully expected it to be. How much did you enjoy chatting away to him?
Top man. Like, it's the
Mm.
classic with a lot of these boys. What I like most about the guys like Joe, kind of very similar to Mark Reynolds and these guys, that sense of humor,
Yeah.
which you maybe don't expect.
Yeah.
Their public demeanor maybe doesn't quite give you that. And we really appreciated Joe's kind of candidness. I think sometimes it's quite difficult for guys who've just come out of the dressing room, that when you ask certain questions, you might get a very closed off answer. There's
Sure.
certainly some things I don't think he wanted to necessarily talk too much about.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, I felt really sorry for it, and I've said it before. I felt really sorry for Joe that his Aberdeen career ended the way that it did. I think for the number of appearances he put in for Aberdeen, and in particular that golden spell, he deserved better than to finish up with that bad week in January that we
Yeah.
all saw.
Yeah, it just felt like a bit of a damp squib for him at the end, didn't it?
It did, and you know, even he said himself, you know, it's what can you do about it? It's what you need to do, and he's right when you go back and look at the Hearts, Darvel, Hibs games. I don't think any of those goals you can put down to Joe Lewis. It's just
Sure.
it was just a horrendous time for
Yeah.
everybody involved, and yeah, but no, top man. And if you've not listened to it yet, obviously the interview was divided into the last two episodes, so I'd encourage anyone to go and have a wee listen.
Yeah, most definitely. It was a cracking interview, chaps. So really well done. Well done for getting them on. Right, mate. Listen, thanks ever so much. Enjoy the game on Sunday, and hopefully we shall catch up again soon.
Absolutely. Cheers. Thanks for having us, Ali.
Brilliant, mate. Ta-da. So this is what the manager had to say ahead of the game tomorrow. Our victory over Rangers earlier in the season guarantees you nothing. You need to come and perform. You need to bring your A game. Everybody needs to be at their best. Everybody needs to play above 90% for us to achieve anything in the game. If we do that, then we give ourselves a real opportunity. The fans give us a huge boost and they will help us along. They will be a huge help to us at times at the weekend. So let's give you the stats. So Aberdeen, as I said at the top of the show, are looking for back-to-back league victories for the first time since September 93 under the stewardship of Willie Miller. Since beating Rangers back in September, the Dons have only won one league game, whereas Rangers have won all of their 6. The Dons have conceded 10 goals in the last 3 league games, which is 3.3 per game, as many as their first 8 of the season beforehand. The referee is Nick Walsh, and the man on VAR is Andrew Dallas. Right, let's start getting your thoughts on. Let's see how you all are. Kevin Tom. Hi, Kevin. Good evening, Ali. Hope you're well. I'm doing just fine. Come on, you Reds. Heed first tomorrow. Kaiser says, fit like everybody. I wonder what weird and wonderful tactics Robson has up his sleeve for tomorrow. Phil McLean has said, evening, everyone. Time to raise our game for tomorrow. Scott W has said, I'm sure Robson has perfected his 9-0-1 formation for tomorrow. Oh, dearie me. Michael Taylor, good evening, Ali. Hope you're well and everyone else is in fine form. Rob Clark is here. Hi, Rob. You well? Wow, I'm going to catch 22 at my work. Of course, I'm hoping for Don's win, but already fed up when UCO fans moaning you only play against us, etc., etc. Give it a rest. Simon Roy has wished everybody a very good evening, as has Baz Strachan. He says, tough one tomorrow, hopefully a decent game and players rested and ready to go and really get stuck in. Tight win with a Clarkson screamer to win it. Christopher Mainland has said, Ruby is either going to be immense or cost us the game. Heed first into them. Kaiser comes back to say, will Robson park the bus and hope they don't score, or will he let the very good players we have get to a very poor Rangers team? Well, that's what I hope tomorrow. We were ridiculously passive against Celtic, and again, just not the way that we should be playing football in any way, shape or form ever. So tomorrow, it's simple for me because Rangers are not great shakes. We know that. I expect them to have plenty of possession, but I just don't want us to be passive. If anything, I want us to be on the front foot and I want us to be aggressive. I think all of us want that. We can't sit back and just invite them to attack us time and time again, like what happened a couple of weeks ago. I really hope that doesn't happen tomorrow. I don't think it will. And I'd be shocked and extremely annoyed if it does. But for me, it's all about getting on the front foot. So, Laurel 101 has said, as long as we give it a right good go tomorrow, I will be happy. Simon Roy says, we need to play 4-4-2, but we need 2 or 3 up top, at least because we have the least shots on goal in the league. That's right. Tom OS said, how am I keeping? I'm doing just fine. Still battling away, still getting treatment. But yeah, I'm a lot better. I have another round of treatment this week. So yeah, just slowly but surely, step by step, day by day. So thank you, mate. Scott W has said, there's not a team in Scotland that we should fear, but Robson wets the bed against most. Look at Motherwell today. How can they cause Celtic problems and come away with a point, but we can't touch them? For us, it is the most frustrating aspect of our play this season is that other teams have gone to Celtic Park and given them a fair battle. St Mirren, from memory, and again today, Motherwell. And it just absolutely beggars belief. If you set it up the right way to have a go at teams and not be afraid and don't show any respect, and not be afraid of the occasion, you give yourselves half a chance. It's half the battle. And that's what I believe was completely missing against Celtic. We just did not believe in any way, shape or form. A few of you have said, that Robson should have gone after the Celtic game. Right, let me get back up because there's a few coming in. Jason Campbell said, I'd like to see Paul Varro in the centre midfield for a run of games starting tomorrow. Scott W said, Robson has to be sacked if we don't do anything this season. He's simply not up to the job. Michael Taylor has asked, is Jamie fit for tomorrow's match? So yes, he is. So Steve Agnew gave us an update on the team news. So he said basically everybody's fit. James McGarry's back in training as well. The only person who is not fit is Shaden Morris. Stephen Lyle has said, hi everyone, let's get in about them tomorrow. Forget the Celtic score and let's get the points. Stuart Cleary is on. Hi Stuart. Simply just need to get in their faces from the start. Don't give them the ball easily and can't let them play as totally different team we will be playing, but hopefully we will get the 3 points. Can't be bothered, as said. It appears that Celtic raised their game against us. Kaiser has said Sevco have only beaten Celtic once in the last 8 games they've played them, and that was the dead rubber at the end of last season. Exactly. Charles Craig has said, in terms of my lineup, he said, I would be concerned about Jack getting exposed against Tavernier when he pushes forward. I would have Jamie McGrath playing wider and perhaps exploit space behind the fullback. Yeah, I'll take that, Charles, definitely. Scott W said, we do raise our game against them. I've denied it for years, but look at this season. We've not touched Hibs, Hearts or Celtic. Come Rangers, we produce a magical result, our best down there for years. Christopher Mainland said, Celtic are just a better team than Rangers. That explains some, but not all, of the difference when playing the Ugly Sisters. A few of you are already a little bit concerned about potentially Barry playing negative tactics tomorrow. I really enjoy how so many of you interact with each other as well. I've been saying to you for a wee while, it's exactly what I'm hoping that, this platform does, where you can interact with yourselves without fear of retribution from people who hide behind a user board and, a username and a keyboard and just give people grief. So thank you for your continued respect to each other. It's very much appreciated. A lot of you are now talking about the similarities between Barry and Derek. Because, again, many of you suggested that Derek was very negative in these big games as well. Yeah, very interesting, guys. Can't be bothered. I said Morris is close to a return. He is, but I think he's still about a week away, give or take. Kaiser came back to say Robson will play exactly the same team as he always plays. Then Sokler will come on about 10 minutes before the end. Simon Roy said, if we sit like we did against Celtic, we will get pumped. It's as simple as that. David Scott says, hi everyone, late on today. Hopefully we can produce a performance tomorrow. Bob Duff, I said, hi Bob, how are you? Big game for Robson tomorrow. He's had 2 weeks to work with the boys. The least I expect tomorrow is a better shape, structure, attacking all done with better fitness and desire. Absolutely, 100% spot on, Bob. Oops, I just lost that. Paul Matthewson has said, hopefully a good performance and 3 points. Bob Duff really hopes he doesn't play a back 5 tomorrow. Brian McRae is here. Hi, Brian. He said, good evening. Have a bad feeling about tomorrow, but hopefully I'll be proved wrong and we gob them. Results didn't go our way today, so come on, you Reds. Simon Roy said, wonder what will happen to Robson if we get beat. I think the voices will get louder to replace him. Yeah. No problem, Michael. Bob Duffer said, Motherwell showed how to frustrate Celtic today, and Kettlewell is by no means a great manager. He went on to say, as I always say, we sacked McInnes because we wanted to go to the next level. Dave Cormack has achieved that all right, down a level. Right. Okay, so a couple of other bits and pieces for you as we bring the show to a close. So if you are going tomorrow, this is what the matchday programme looks like. Dolly Digital's front cover with Mr. Gartenmann on the cover. And if you are going to the game tomorrow, here's your weather report. So at kick-off, it's going to be 4 degrees. The low tomorrow will be 1 degrees. The high will be 5 degrees. They're expecting gusty winds, but they're expecting sort of the sun to break through the clouds during the game. Eh? Don't give up your day job, Ali, for goodness sake. So a quick and gentle reminder that we are edging ever closer to 3,000 subscribers. I really want to get there before the end of the calendar year. We've got about, how many have we got to go? We've got about 40 to go. So if you enjoyed tonight's show, please click the old like button. It helps massively with the YouTube algorithm. And obviously, as we continue to build and get bigger and better, and that's obviously all down to you guys as well. So please don't forget to subscribe if you're watching for the very first time. Right, let's just see if there's any sort of last... yeah, there's a few more coming in. Right. Let me get my glasses on. So, Kaiser said, this is a fair squad we've got. We should be up there with Celtic at the top of the league. I completely agree, mate. David Scott says, hopefully Duke gets on for a decent amount of time. I think he can make the difference. Kaiser goes on to make a good point. Kelly Roos has not impressed either. Yeah, I thought Kelly was particularly poor against Celtic, I have to admit. His distribution at the moment is absolutely appalling, so I really hope they've worked on that. Can't be bothered has said, Sokla needs to get minutes with Duke away with Cape Verde in January. Yeah, I absolutely take that as well. You know, this is, as I said to Gary from ABZ in the chat, you know, this is the time now that we absolutely have to rotate our squad, and he can't just use those same 12 to 14 players. You know, he's got to start seriously thinking about now 14 to 16 to 18 players. That's what he's got to start doing. He really has. Okay, Bob. So Bob Duff said here, Jekyll and Hyde. I just don't see that at all. That suggests ups and downs. The performances are very largely downs. Yeah, I agree, but there have been performances in there which have elevated us. You know, Motherwell, Rangers. Okay, Frankfurt away, I know we got beat, but it still was a very decent performance. Pauk, up until we all know what happened, was a decent performance. So that's why I use that terminology. Maybe it's not the right terminology to use because, again, as I said to Gary, my biggest concern at the moment is that when we play bad, we are absolutely awful. And it's just horrific to watch. There's no sort of in-between. And that is my biggest concern. And that's what I really hope will start to get addressed. Bob goes on to say, tomorrow will be defend, boot up the park, chase it, lose it. For the halcyon days of McGinn and Hayes tearing up the wings. Yeah, there's a few of you a bit worried about tomorrow already. Right, guys, I'm going to call it a night because we've done nearly half an hour. So thank you so much for coming on, leaving your comments, chatting amongst yourselves. Don't forget, you know, press the old like button. Feel free to subscribe. Have a look at the membership scheme as well because that helps me massively build this channel. Just click the old join button on your PC. Have a little look. It's just a massive help to me. It really is. And it just makes us bigger and bigger and bigger. So there'll be no review show tomorrow night. So the plan is to do the review show on Monday so that we can give ourselves that sort of 24-hour breathing space. Because I'm not a big fan of just coming straight on because I still think emotions are very, very high after a game, particularly against that mob. So I'd rather do the show on Monday. Michael Taylor just quickly said, please, Aberdeen, big performance tomorrow, lads, and don't let this lot walk all over us. We're more than capable of beating them, and we've shown it we can do it. Absolutely, 100%. Just don't have any fear. You know, front foot, aggressive, in their faces, don't give them any time on the ball, and play football. Just play football. Good night, everybody. Stand free.